We're just 10 days away from one of my favourite days of the year, Australia Day. We're not hearing too much at the moment about changing the date, but there are a few social media punks having a go. They don't like the fact that we're celebrating on a day when, you know, white settlement joined black settlement, and they did actually get together, and quite sanely and peacefully. But there'll be more people who'll have more to say before January 26. But an editorial in News Corp papers today by Aboriginal leader Jacinta Price was simply outstanding. I've asked her to come on the show tonight. Jacinta, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
The culture war surrounding Australia Day just won't go away, will it?
Oh, no, it won't. As long as as long as there are people out there who are willing to hold a grudge or have a gripe about our country, it will continue, unfortunately.
Some people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, say we do need to change the date because they see what happened in 1778 as Invasion Day, but the historians record that landing as anything but an invasion, right?
That's correct. And aside from that, look, nobody is celebrating, the emotional rhetoric that's used, well, emotional blackmail that's often used is that, if you're celebrating Australia Day, then somehow you're celebrating genocide and the destruction of culture and language and all those sorts of things. And that is far from what anybody is actually celebrating on Australia Day. And we've got to stop giving ourselves such a hard time and recognise that we are one of the world's luckiest countries. We are one of the world's greatest countries, and that's what we celebrate, what we've all achieved together. Yes. to have what we have here.
And in many ways it was the date when white and black did get together and created so much that's positive about our world in a very short space of time. I've been to so many Australia Day ceremonies hosting television and radio programs, and most of the first half of the day, as you would know only too well, is spent respecting and creating ceremonies about Aboriginal culture and dance and what it means to some Aboriginal people. It's a respectful time, and a lot is dedicated to the Indigenous culture.
Absolutely, right around the country, there's often been celebrations of Australia's first people through dance, through song. In and around Sydney, there is the Yabun Festival. It's not as though people are not recognising Indigenous people in this country. We are doing it on a regular basis. I think we overdo it sometimes. I think sometimes when we have so many, welcome to country and recognition in those sorts of forms, I think we can, overdo it at times. And what we need to do is what I've described in the article is we need to focus on the issues of importance, and we need to focus on problem solving.
And there are a lot of problems associated with Indigenous communities, especially in outback Australia, that we do need to solve. But look, in summary, it's probably a chance for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous to think about Australia Day as combining together, uniting together, not dividing and protesting.
Absolutely. For my background, I'm extremely proud of my heritage in that I've got Indigenous heritage as well as non-Indigenous heritage, that my ancestors came here in chains, and, around the world during that time, human beings experienced great suffering, and we are at a time now in our world's history where it is one of the luckiest times on the face of the earth, and particularly in Australia.
Yeah,
we've got so much to celebrate.
Yep, I love that painting behind you. I might have to call you later and see who painted it and maybe get a copy of it. Thank you very much for your time, Jacinta.